All right, I'm being flanked by erudite gentlemen in the building, and this evening permit me to welcome them on board as we'll be taking a look at what they discussed and strategies, implementation, and so much more. I'm being joined in the studios this evening by Mr. Tawo Mobojuri, okay, National Chairman, the National Chairman. Sir, I'd like you to say hello to the listener.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
Yeah. Mr. Tawo,
Yes, sir.
great to see you.
Thank you.
All right, we also have here Armstrong Okoiso, the Regional Chairman, South. Mr. Armstrong, good to see you.
Yeah, we are welcome. Good
great.
evening, the people of Akwa Ibom.
Yeah.
Lovely people.
Thank you very much. Also here in the building this evening is Dr. Preferred John, the State Chairman, the Honorable State Chairman himself. Great to see you.
Yeah, I wish the good people of Akwa Ibom State and their love, God bless everybody.
Yes, thank you so much. Also in the building this evening is Mr. Kingsley W. Njokwaba.
Yes, certainly.
Okay.
Yeah, good
He is the
evening,
National
everybody.
PRO. It's a pleasure to see you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, and also a voice that is familiar, that should be familiar to you by now. He's none other than a public affairs analyst, Mr. Bossy Endurance. Great to have you.
It's also great to be here once again. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Akwa Ibomites. As usual, good evening.
Thank you, Endurance. All right, without much ado, let's head straight into the business of the evening. We understand that we just had the conference right there talking about the National Industrial Transport and Occupational Safety, Health and Safety Conference, which took place at Bigham Hall, Yoruba State. And I'd like to throw the question, the very first question to the chairman himself. I just feel like adding honorable, because anytime we talk about chairman in this part of the divide, we add honorable. Okay, so Dr. Preferred John, you've just concluded the regional conference right there. What are you looking at? What are your expectations, based on the impact of this conference? What are you hoping to achieve at the end of the day? Can we share your thoughts?
Yes. In fact, the conference was pivoted and hinged on the critical objectives. The objective one was to ensure proper dissemination of information,
Okay.
sensitization of the public concerning the occupational health and safety, as well as the transport compliance requirements, which must be adhered to by everyone across all sectors of economy, to ensure that we project ourselves into a safer future, because the economic development, the industrial boom established and initiated by our governor, Dr. Pastor Omoino, cannot be realized if the foundation of safety and transport requirement is not established, and the need to launch the good people of Akwa Ibom State to a safer future. Hence the constitution of this conference, which was marked yesterday and concluded today by coming to this radio station to update the good people of Akwa Ibom State on the readiness, the awareness, and also the need to comply, which is the tool to launch everyone into a safer future. That is the critical objective of the conference.
Beautiful. I'd like to ask Mr. Armstrong Okoiso, the regional chairman. We were part of this also as a co-chairman. So you guys collaborated and brought this up. Your own take on this.
Of course. Let me start by saying
feel the pain of from the people of Akwa Ibom. My warm greeting and heart full of pain to the Pastor Ubo Enu, the governor, executive governor of the state. We know the people of Akwa Ibom, they have been thrown into mourning. So I feel the pain. And at the same time, the warm welcome they have given to us. It's overwhelming. And I want to say thank you to the people of Akwa Ibom. Like you know, safety is everyone's business. Safety is not one man business, it's for everyone. And it's a very great thing that you have brought to the people of Akwa Ibom to let them know what safety is all about. Place of work, health, even like for instance, you know, when we see all these truck people driving along the road, there's some safety that we have to meet, which is standard and minimum safety. All those things we're going to discuss here today.
Yeah.
So I will pass the microphone to my friend here to continue.
Okay, Mr. Njukoba, the National PRO.
Thank you once again.
Yeah, we're looking at what you intend to, achieve, what you're looking to achieve in terms of the impact of this conference.
I will say thank you once again. As you can see, transport safety and occupational health are critical to protecting lives and sustaining productivity. As you can further look, whether on road or in workplace, adhering to safety guidelines and maintaining healthy practices prevent accidents and ensure well-being. So we understand that there is an ongoing validation already in Akwa Ibom, which is being led by the state chairman. These practices to be able to bring into the awareness of the people of Akwa Ibom and even at the nation at large that we need to be safety conscious. It's not just only on the road, but even in this studio here, in safety there's something we call risk assessment. So those things, they have to come in the consciousness of each and every one of us that endeavor in the field of workplace. So the Joint National Transport Safety Committee has come to put this into play. So it is our responsibility, if not because coming to Akwa Ibom, we met the people of Akwa Ibom in Bereave, and our First Lady of the state is being moved. There is so much that we believe we would have done. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to throw this other question to Mr. Tawo or Mokunjuri, the national chairman. For the benefit of someone who is just listening to us now and who's wondering what we're talking about actually, let's talk about workplace safety, workplace health and safety, the environment safety and all that. In your own words, how would you describe workplace safety and the need, for the compliance and all that?
Well, thank you once again. I want to appreciate the governor of Akwa Ibom State for this warm welcome, even though it was a period of mourning. We hope to at least actualize the aims and objectives of the conference yesterday. Yes, workplace safety. Workplace safety simply means the standard at which you have to abide to in every sectors of the industries. Because workplace cut across all sectors of the industries. The safety measures that every employers need to put in place towards having a safer place of work and environment. Despite the strive of the federal government of Nigeria towards eradication of workplace accidents and the likes. Yet there are gaps. We cannot continue to poke our hands in sand because facts are facts and the scenario is getting darker. However, in a bid to provide a solution, the federal government, through the Joint National Transport Safety Committee, because the committee cut across various ministries and security and law enforcement agencies towards promoting industrial and transport safety compliance across the federation. Workplace safety cut across all sectors of the economy towards reducing risk, death, injury, and accidents. However, Akwa Ibom State is not excluded. We want a situation whereby the policy and the standard that is seen and operated in various states is also being done in Akwa Ibom State. We want a situation whereby in the future our generations will be able to understand that their fathers did the justice for the National Occupational Health and Safety Policy established and decided by the federal government of Nigeria through the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment.
Right, what steps have you taken to push for compliance of these rules and regulations? Yes.
Yes, you know that when it comes to industrial and workplace occupational health and safety matters, it cuts across all the state governments of the federations and some selected federal ministries, which includes Federal Ministry of Health, Federal Ministry of Environment, Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment, which is the highest authority for labor and workplace safety related matters. Yes, what have we been put in place? We've started the sensitization, advocacy, and reaching out to people through media, all forms of media, because we believe that we're in a global age now. Everybody makes use of their phones. We have been sending informations across the social medias, and we have been meeting various stakeholders. As we speak with you, we have a synergy with NECA, that's the Nigerian Employers Association, Constitutive Association. We have a synergy with NASIMA, National Association of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Mines and Agriculture. We have for Maritime Union Workers of Nigeria. We have for the Major Energies Market Association of Nigeria, the NATO, National Association of Transport Owners. As I said earlier, the committee, the national committee, cut across all relevant federal and state government agencies, the trade unions, and also the employers. However, we cannot do this alone because it's everybody's business. We've started the advocacy for the past 6 months, sensitization, one-on-one conference. This conference that was held in Akwa Ibom, this type of conference was held last month, October last month at Lagos. The Southwest Conference was held at Lagos. For you to know that it's not just today. Also, this conference also was held at Delta State. The state coordinator for Delta State hosted this same nature of conference. You can see that we have been moving, and this is Akwa Ibom.
And what has the response been like?
Yes, there has been compliance. People, workplace operators, employers has been putting a lot of things in place. However, there are gaps. Before we go into enforcement, there should be advocacy, sensitization continuously, and after them, there will be enforcement. I want to appreciate the Akwa Ibom State government and the Akwa Ibom State Local Content Committee for what they have been doing so far. There is ongoing validation also here in Akwa Ibom, and most of these sectors have been complying. They have been, but there are gaps, which we know that Rome was not built in a day.
Yeah.
We believe very soon we are going to get there to have a safer environment.
All right, so I channel the next question to the chairman. He's talked about gaps. How do you intend to bridge these gaps? And if I may ask, what are these gaps and how do you intend to bridge them?
In fact, when we consider what we call gaps, first of all, gaps are weaknesses In this case, the weaknesses associated with the transport or compliance requirements provided by the law, both the federal government law and the state government law. We also look at the gap, the safety gaps. Those are the weaknesses or irregularities, or what we can call inconsistencies when we consider the occupational health, the safety and environment. Those inconsistencies, gaps, weaknesses can only be evaluated or identified through what we call a gap assessment. Gap assessment will be conducted during like a conference like this. They will have a forum where we evaluate what we call gaps among the operators, especially occupational health and environment. So the gaps which was identified, like example, waste management, what we call iron condemn. We know that there is no coordination. We don't know that there is no identification and segregation of the kind of waste they are dealing with. We identify that one, that there is a gap. Because there is a law to regulate and coordinate, but there is no enforcement to coordinate and regulate so that we can achieve the goal. So in that way, we've been able to identify the gap. The gaps can now be closed out by our enforcement team having given alignment with the operators, because iron condemn waste scavengers, we consider them as threats because it boosts the economy of any given society at the grassroots. So we can now look at what aspect of material or waste can they handle, what aspect of waste that they cannot handle that needs specialized training. So that training, we bring in the training to close the training gap so that they can know how to handle some specific hazardous radioactive, radiomagnetic waste or material which they are dealing with. So by giving that kind of training, we'll close the knowledge gap on a weakness due to ignorance or insufficient knowledge. So by giving that training, that gap is closed. We also understand that some workplaces, even in the official office, in some ministries, because what we call occupational health and safety cut across our sectors. There is also what we call the safety in school. The workplace safety also the workplace safety also in the office. The offices, whether it is permanent secretary, whether it's a clerical clerk, we require a certain requirement of safety in that environment to make that place safe. So, in generally, the gap assessment will continuously be conducted depending on the sector and the application or the operations. When such gap is identified, then we know whether it is a knowledge gap, we bring in the training to close it out. If it is a gap of equipment or tools, because you may have a worker, they use improper tools or the outdated tools or tools that are considered hazard already, then we recommend for the replacement or the upgrade of the tools they are going to use. So make the workplace safe in order to launch the workers who are also Kwaibomites and other investors into a safer future. So we cannot get into a safer future when the hazards or the risks are not assessed and the gap identified, so the gap being closed out. So these are the system, we call this systematic process of management of requirement of compliance that borders on transport, occupational health, or safety. So in this case, there will be a continuous gap assessment, and all these gaps is being categorized as weakness, the knowledge gap, the lack of tools, the lack of ergometrics, the lack of sufficient technology, and lack of awareness, and even the application of procedure and acceptable code of practice. So all these things can only be achieved through regulatory enforcement through regulatory gap assessment, through regulatory review and recommendation. So that was a reason that informed the setting up the constitution of this conference, to ensure that all these are communicated. Because no matter what you want to do, the knowledge gap, what kind of gap, the first line of action is to ensure the proper communication to the public, to get awareness and later alignment based on the gradual, step-by-step, systematic compliance enforcement, which is charged and deposited in the hands of the enforcement officer of the Joint National Transport Safety Committee, domesticated the chapter in Akwa Ibom State. So for your information, the Joint National Transport Safety Committee is an organ of the federal government of Nigeria, working using the instrument, the legal instrument or statutory instrument of the law to enforce the compliance of compliance requirement of transport, occupational safety and health.
Just before I leave you, I want to ask, because you've talked about continuity, and I've heard him also say the same thing about the systematic, continuous training of. So how often do you intend to, embark on this continuous training? Is it going to be once, like an annual something, or maybe quarterly or bi-quarterly? We want to know the continuous process.
The continuous process of gap closure informs the continuous gap assessment. So since the gap assessment does not stop, then since the compliance enforcement does not end, then there will also be continuous gap assessment or the compliance assessment. So if you don't comply to the provision of the law on transport and occupational and safety, therefore there is a gap. So it is only through the continuous evaluation, review, gap assessment that will help us to identify gaps that are available and what we should do to close them out. So in our calendar, the compliance is continuous.
Yes.
Gap closure is also continuous, and the compliance by the targets are also continuous. Anytime the compliance enforcement ceases, that is when the gap identification also stops. That is when our life will cease. If Christ, the second coming of Jesus Christ, does not come, the safety compliance must be promoted, and so that our governor, Dr. Pastor Omoino, has initiated a lot of program and capture the safety in the project of Arise Agenda. So the Arise Agenda is to launch people into prosperity, and you cannot get into prosperity if you are not reconfigured to have the characteristic to launch yourself into a safer future. So you see that. So you must have the safety consciousness, the culture, to be able to project it into a safer future in order to benefit from the industrialization boom and economic boom, prosperity boom established through a strategic program contained in the Arise Agenda of the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State.
All right, thank you very much. Then we head off to the chairman, the regional chairman South, Mr. Armstrong Okoiso. We know that here in Nigeria we do have policies, we come up with policies, sometimes very great policies, but from my own perspective, sometimes I think we have the issue of implementation, implementing these policies and following them to a logical conclusion. So how do you intend to implement these policies that have come up and come up with regulates and enforce compliance in all workplaces? Don't forget, we also have the private sectors and even the people that are doing the one-man business stuff, like the MSEs and all those people who have businesses. How do you intend to take these things down to those levels and enforce that, hey, you must stick to these and these and these standard safety practices and rules?
Yeah, to start with, sanitization is the key. We must start by sanitizing the people, giving awareness, creating awareness to them, like we have been doing from Lagos, Delta State, now in Akwa Ibom. No, this sensitization have to go down to the private sectors, go down to the local people. Like I would have said, I will start speaking in pidgin on this radio.
Of course.
So that I will go down to the people, the local government. You know, we're meeting the local government of every state, you know, telling them the awareness of why it is compulsory, that the people must be informed about what is going on. Like we know about the private sector, they are all informed. We give God the glory for this technology of IT today, everyone smartphone. So we have key into it. We have our media, online, broadcasting this information, creating this sensitization, telling the people why it is necessary, and also will not have to leave any stone untouched. Those drivers, you know, let me not go into the people like the people play the players, some of the players, like the transporters. You know, drivers, they need to be informed about their health. And you can imagine yourself, someone driving a truck, orange. Somebody will say at night. Why somebody will say at daytime? They have eyes problem. Someone needs to inform them. And the training we're talking about, we are creating a training section for drivers, and they must meet this certain standard before they can operate those heavy duty. Even in the factory, those duty machines, those machineries in the factory, the industrial machine, all and all that, you know. So in all, sanitization is one of the key, and creating awareness must go down to the local government. You know, having said this, we plead to the people to embrace what is coming from the federal government. You know, they say if a father doesn't take care of his children, they will go extreme ahead. Now the federal government is bringing this down for people to be aware what is coming, and it's for the betterment of the people.
So that means there's a kind of how do I put this now, hand-in-hand collaboration with those people in the local government areas.
Definitely.
And rural areas.
Yes, and that is where the sanitation comes from now, the awareness. We have to sanitize them from down. And we are trying doing that, just that, you know, our people, as we Nigerians, at times you must talk and talk and talk and talk before it gets
implemented.
Yeah.
That is why I was asking that question, like, how do you intend to implement this? Because fine, we've heard this thing, we've had this conference, but after today, some of us might even forget this.
You know, that is why we keep talking.
Okay.
Telling them, like good people like you, using this platform, so most of them are listening to us.
Okay.
Fathers will listen, those that have radio listen, those who take it down to their children. The local government, you know, we are having you know, there's a program we want to design that have to do with the local government.
Alright. Let me head off to Mr. Endurance, because he's yet to say anything before I come to you, Mr. Njoku Oba. Mr. Endurance has actually talked about you know, the implementation, and you know, there was something I was actually looking for, and you coming from the media angle, I'm sure you'll be able to supply me with that. Because how do you intend to drive home these policies and enforce compliance at those grassroots levels? What are the tools, what are the machineries and measures being put on the ground to, you know, take care of this?
Relationship. relationship with the media is very paramount. You know, any organization that first and foremost creates that level of relationship with the media is already a good indication that that organization wants to succeed. Because in the present climate, the 21st century climate, where everything is all about the media, and now you can find it that even those who are non-professional media practitioners have indirectly turned into media persons because of their smartphones. And you know, any information that drops there on the social media flies faster. And to that end, employing the media personnel, the professionals, to pass this message to the right kind of persons is the right thing to do. And that is what the Joint National Industrial Transport Safety Committee have done. They have identified with the media professionals, and if you see in their last conference, they have a whole lot of them, a good cluster of the media. There have been a whole lot of media activities from time to time that has been taking place by this organization. And how then would the media persons individually, like I discussed yesterday, you know, safety concerns everyone, even you as a person. Safety at home is not just enough, like you are working here as a professional in your office. Then you should consider safety at home. And we talked about communication. First and foremost, how does communication start? Communication should first of all start between you and members of your family. Are you in good communication with your members of the family, letting them know the things and the do's and don'ts? Are you letting kids know what they should not touch, what should not be done? And the office and the workplaces, are you setting the standard of safety with respect to what should not be wear and all of that? And then, on the media aspect, on the elaborate platform now, is the duty of the media, and as myself personally, I am always willing and ready to inform the public about whatever impending danger or the hazard that is there, whereby it has to be avoided so that it does not result in a very serious crisis. So these are the things that are being put in place, and I thank so much the leadership of the Joint National Industrial Transport Safety for recognizing this role, the role of the media, and adapting to this. It is such commendable.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Njuba, on the national initiative, I'd like you to comment on that very briefly.
On the national initiative,
Yes.
we are actually pushing out various initiative programs that will enable a quick drive
Okay.
to even to the grassroots. If you were in yesterday's program, you found out that even the Ministry of Transport, they also spoke about the national initiative. Let me just go a little bit in details. The Joint National Transport Safety Committee in Nigeria, when we talk about the Joint Task Force on National Industrial Safety Advocacy and Compliance in Nigeria, is a coordinated effort to promote an initiative before we start looking at the well-being of the employers contributing to Nigerian sustainable economic growth, then which means we would have done compliance after the sensitization and the awareness. The awareness and the sensitization is a continuous process. It does not just stop because we have done it once. You see, like a father will raise a child. Each time he will rebuke the child, each time he will groom the child. So we are not just stopping at the awareness and the sensitization. So the national initiative actually plays along the students' regulation, ensuring compliance with existing guidelines, like the state chairman said,
Yes.
and engaging stakeholders through trainings. When he talked about the truck drivers, there's what we call the drivers HSC training. In Nigeria, that is one key. Our drivers, particularly the heavy truck, don't have. The drivers don't have what is called health insurance. They drive 24 hours round the clock, and they can break down. Their health is important. Now we're looking at them knowing the ethics of their driving. There is a skill attached. So this training is something that comes twice in a year, at the first quarter of the year and the end of the year. So all these are the national initiatives that will come into play, so we can be able to have a safer economy.
NATO and other critical partners, and what they had this South Regional Conference, which was on national industrial transport, occupational health and safety, and it was held at Ibom Hall, Akwa State, from the 26th to the 28th of November 2024. Well, if you did not attend, you must have missed out a whole lot. I'd like to ask the chairman how soon are we to, see something like this coming up once again. On the final notes, Mr. Chairman, how soon are we going to see another conference of this nature, whereby we get to have sensitization and people get to be sensitized? Are we hoping to see this happening next year?
Yes. This same program is going to take place again in between October, November this year, or next year, 2025. That will be in River State. Port Harcourt will be expanded for 7 days. That will have a lot of activities, including provision, a window to close the gap, to identify the gaps, to impress the gaps of occupational health and safety, including the transport in the South area. So it's also going to have a template to identify the gaps within the spectrum, within the jurisdictional scope of transport, occupational health and safety, and also a recommendation for eradication or improvements. And this the conference has already been marked. The sensitization, communication, and coordination will start immediately from next month against that period, to ensure that we will not be able to leave any stone unturned. So that is the calendar, and that is the strategy from the national NEC.
Thank you so very much, gentlemen. I have with me Mr. Tawo Mobojuri, the National Chairman, and Mr. Armstrong Okoiso, Regional Chairman, South-South, Dr. Preferred John, the State Chairman, you heard his voice right there, and Mr. Kingsley Njokoba, the National PRO, as well as Mr. Brasi and Jones, Public Affairs Analysts, all here on the program this evening. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much. God bless.
Alright, this is Memories 96.5 FM, and my name is Juliana. Thank you so very much for staying with us. Keep the dial right there. Don't go nowhere.